everyone. This is 44th session. We have come a long way, and we are on chapter number 17. So chapter number 17, it's a long chapter. So we divided it between two, that is Rahul Bhaiya and Gauri Didi. And since Rahul Bhaiya is traveling, so one part of it will be done by Drishta. So it's going to be done by three people. This today's session will be done by Rahul Bhaiya, and then it will be next one will be done by Drishta. So Rahul Bhaiya, a very warm welcome. Please introduce yourself and take us through this thing.
Yeah. Hi everyone, my name is Rahul. I am from New Delhi. I've been studying Darshan from last almost 5 years now. In 2019, I was introduced to Darshan. Uh, me and Shifali, we both were homeschooling our children. So in search of the right education, I somehow came across with a couple of videos on YouTube about education of Sombhaiya. When I saw those videos, I was deeply impacted with the content. So me and my papa, both of us, we really wanted to know more about it, and happened to come across Sanjeev Chopra ji, and he introduced us to the whole content. And since then, we've been reading Darshan. I'm trying to read Darshan as per best of my capacity. And yeah. Mhm. So we stay in New Delhi with a joint family. We are 17 of us staying in one house. Uh,
Wow.
until last couple of months, we were four generations staying together. But unfortunately, after the demise of my grandmother, we are three generations left. So we also are involved in a joint family business where six of us from the same family works in one organization. And yeah, this is who I am, and I'm here to carry forward where Gauri Didi left in the last session. And this is chapter number 17, and I would be reading from there.
Great. So, Rahul Bhaiya, what would you like me to share? Would you like me to share the chapter or the slide that you had made?
I think initially the slide, I've also shared that slide, that table in the group, just in case if anyone wants to refer to it while I'm studying the Anubhutis from here onwards. So
Okay.
because this table would be quite helpful in mapping the words, which we are going to read in the Anubhutis. So yeah, this is the table. I think this is the table I prepared. I've mapped the words with the shabd used in the darshan. So the words English translation which we have taken in translating the darshan are these which we have used. For Man, Vritti, Chitta, Buddhi, and Atma, we have kept it the same. However, the activities in Man, like tasting and selection, which is the mapping of Aswadan and Chayan, deliberation and analysis, which is the translation of Tulan and Vishleshan, contemplation and visualization for Chintan and Chitran, enlightenment and resolve for Bodh and Sankalp, realization and authenticity for Anubhav and Pramanikta, activity in state or Sthiti Kriya, and activity in expression. For Pratyavartan, we have taken word as reflection, and for Paravartan, we have taken word as projection. For Praman, it is evidence. For Ritambara, it is resoluteness. For desire, uh, for Icha, it is desire. For Vichar, thought, and hope for Asha. So these are the words which we would be very frequently using in today's session. So I thought it would be better for everyone to map it once before we start the session. Yeah.
So I'll just share the just 1 minute.
जी भैया.
Are we able to see it now?
जी भैया.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would be reading it from this Anubhuti, where man becomes capable of receiving signals from Vritti. So man becomes capable of receiving signals from Vritti. It naturally becomes inclined towards just behavior, which is characterized by friendly hopes. Friendliness and the anticipation of justice gets expressed in the form of affection. This affection in turn leads to happiness, justice, and absence of conflict. The laws that ensure protection, adherence, and conduct of humaneness alone are referred to as justice. So, in this Anubhuti, when Babaji is writing, when man becomes capable of receiving signals from Vritti, it is the reflection of man happening or the pratyavartan of man happening. So, man is not according to the sensations. When man is free from attachment, the man becomes capable of receiving signals from vritti. Or when one, study within or move inwards or channelize energies inwards, then man became capable of receiving signals from vritti. And in one of the line, it is mentioned the laws that ensures protection, adherence, and conduct of humanness alone are referred to as justice. So when I personally see the laws that ensure this protection as the laws in intellectual, social, and natural domains, which Babaji has mentioned in this book, Samajik Niyam, Bauddhik Niyam, and Prakritik Niyam. जी. In the next Anubhuti, he is mentioning when Vritti becomes capable of receiving signals from Chitta, this is a realization of peace. There is a realization of peace. It is through contemplation alone that the validation of thought and determination of process, result, and purpose takes place. So again, when he's talking about vritti becoming capable of receiving signals from chitta, there is a reflection of vritti happening. So in the previous session, Gauri Didi has mentioned about three statuses of buddhi: partially developed, half developed, and fully developed. So I think this is the state of partially developed, where comprehension or abhas is complete. So when we see the contemplation, it is happening in chitta, which is the activity in state form or sthiti kriya. And the chintan it is in chitta. Yeah. In the explanation of this anubhuti, he is mentioning the cohesiveness of man, vritti, and chitta gives rise to friendly hopes for just behavior, which determines process, result, and purpose, referred to as dharma-based thoughts. So, in this, when he's talking about dharma based thoughts, I think he's talking about resolved thoughts or thoughts with resolution. So when chitta becomes capable of receiving signals from of buddhi, then contentment is realized, giving rise to autonomous human living as a result. That is, one becomes self-governed or independent. Here, this is the reflection of chitta happening, where uh, uh, now when we are saying that the man becomes capable of receiving signals from vritti and vritti becomes capable of receiving signals from chitta, and chitta becomes capable of receiving signals from buddhi. This is all happening in the process of adhyan. So, adhyan, study or practice, which is abhyas. So, and this is the state of sakshatkar or pratiti, or the state of what do you call awareness, complete awareness. Yeah. In the explanation ahead, uh, it is mentioned that such an independent human being is inclined to produce more and consume less, and they cause minimal wastage. They serve as a source of inspiration for achieving the greater level of awakening. Humans inherently yearn for independence or self-governance. So now, when we say that we experience happiness, peace during this process, in this process, in the previous anubhutis, we are seeing that when the man's reflection is happening, or the vritti is reflected and the chitta is reflected, there is happiness happening, occurring in man, peace in vritti, and contentment in chitta. So I used to earlier think that these are the continuous experiences of happiness, peace, and contentment. But later I realized that this is not the continuous continuity of happiness, peace, contentment can only be experienced after realization, after anubhav. So this is the pratyavartan happening, where Babaji is stating all these anubhutis when the buddhi is not being enlightened in Atma as yet. So without buddhi being enlightened in Atma, we cannot experience happiness, peace, and contentment in continuity. So from this point onwards, I think when chitta becomes capable of receiving signals from buddhi, one becomes independent and self-governed. By this, between governed in self, governed by self, and governed for self. Now, this is the state of half-developed buddhi, or half-awakened ardh viksit or ardh jagrit. Yeah. In the next Anubhuti, Babaji says, the cohesiveness of man, vritti, chitta, and buddhi, along with just behavior and dharma-based thoughts, leads to awareness of truth. Again, dharma-based thoughts are being mentioned here, but without the enlightenment in Atma, uh, without the enlightenment in Atma of buddhi, he's talking about dharma-based thoughts. So these dharma-based thoughts a, are towards some, but it is not after the enlightenment of Atma in buddhi, after the enlightenment in buddhi, after the enlightenment in Atma of buddhi. So hence resolve is also without enlightenment of Atma in buddhi at this state. So buddhi here is alienated of Atma and is in a state of ego. However, it is in the state of complete awareness, pratiti or sakshatkar. Buddhi is in a state of generative and mediative, in the state of generative and mediative, sam and madhyasth. So it is a gradual qualitative refinement process which happens in the process of study and practice, adhyan and abhyas. Yeah. So in the next anubhuti, when buddhi becomes capable of receiving signals from Atma, enlightenment of self happens. This itself is referred to as an enlightenment of Atma. Enlightenment of Atma leads to resolve in truth. The resolve of truth itself is the basis of complete truth and truthful conduct. So again, this is where the reflection of buddhi is happening, when buddhi is no more alienated of atma. In the next anubhuti, when man, vritti, chitta, buddhi become in discipline of atma, coexistence as realization in truth gets established as just behavior and dharma based thoughts. So now this is the state of developed buddhi, viksit, which we were talking about earlier. So uh, here the difference is that truth gets established uh, and as just behavior and dharma based thoughts. So when man got reflected, or man became capable of receiving the signals of vritti, Babaji is talking about Nyayapurn Vyavhar, which is just behavior. When vritti became capable of receiving signals from chitta, along with just behavior, dharm based thoughts also came. And now these just behavior and dharma based thoughts uh, are uh, uh, in alignment to the coexistence as realization in truth gets established. Yeah. So in the next anubhuti, continuity of definitive acceptance itself is the resolve. Visualization with definiteness itself is the plan, and thoughts with the plan itself is the expression of resolution. So, continuity of definitive acceptance itself is resolve. Resolve now, the resolve or sankalp uh, in is with enlightenment of Atma in Buddhi. So earlier, when it was mentioned, resolve at that time, it was the enlightenment of Atma in Buddhi didn't happen. But now in this Anubhuti, when Babaji is explaining about, uh, after he has explained about the reflection of Buddhi or Buddhi's Pratyavartan, after that he has written this Anubhuti where he's talking about the definitive acceptance itself is the resolve, which is the after the enlightenment of Atma and Buddhi. Yeah. Now, in the next Anubhuti, he's saying the capability of receiving higher conformance signals arises solely through inward regulation process of Jivan's power. This is the reflection of behavior into thought, thought into desire, desire into resolve, and resolve into realization of mediative activity. So when he's talking about the inward regulation process for receiving higher conformance signals, he's talking about concentration. This is how I have perceived that he's talking about dhyana, which is concentration. So in this, the reflection of behavior into thought, when man becomes capable of receiving signals from vritti, and then reflection of thoughts into desire when vritti becomes capable of receiving signals from chitta, reflection of desire into resolve when chitta becomes capable of receiving signals from buddhi, and resolve into realization or mediative activity when buddhi becomes capable of receiving signals of atma. Yeah. In the next anubhuti, he's mentioning the reflection of hope occurs in the absence of crime. The reflection of thought occurs in the absence of injustice. The reflection of desire occurs in the absence of attachment. And the reflection of resolve occurs in the absence of ignorance. So, the reflection of hope occurs in the absence of crime. That is, man receives signals from vritti in the absence of crime. And when we say the reflection of thought occurs in the absence of injustice, it means that the reflection of vritti is happening uh, in the absence of injustice. And when we say the reflection of desire occurs in the absence of attachment, that means the reflection of chitta is happening uh, in the absence of attachment. So when we say that in the reflection of hope occurs, it is happiness. We could experience happiness. The reflection of thought is peace, and the reflection of uh, desire is the contentment. So when I understood the absence of crime as in the absence of crime, there occurs friendly hopes in man, and uh, uh, it is the absence of crime is the rightfully owned wealth, marital faithfulness, work and behavior with kindness, and this is just behavior or न्यायपूर्ण व्यवहार. And when we talk about the absence of injustice in thoughts or vritti, it means nyaya, dharam, and satya based thoughts without profit and loss, healthy, unhealthy, and pleasant, unpleasant based thoughts, which are dharma based thoughts or dharmpun vichar. And when we talk about absence of attachment in desire or in chitta, it is the attachment in chitta usually which is arises due to man's pressure on chitta, which becomes dharma based desires or dharmpur ichha, which are kind of free from attachments like respect, fame, or controlling others, or trying to get respect or fame on how we look, on the power we possess, or the money we have, or the position we attain. Yeah. So the explanation of this anubhuti is here, where Babaji is saying, therefore, the enforcement and influence of systems is necessary for behavior without crime. So this is the reflection of, for the reflection of hope, the enforcement of influence and enforcement and influence of systems is necessary for the reflection of hope or for behavior without crime. The influence of social conduct is necessary for thoughts without injustice. The influence of study and sanskar is necessary for desire without attachment. And the inward regulation or concentration is necessary for buddhi without ignorance. Only then can the reflection activity be successful, or else it is unsuccessful. Concentration involves focusing man, vritti, chitta, and buddhi for understanding, and focusing them for the purpose of evidence after understanding and realization. Concentration is necessary for comprehending the meaning and subsequently providing evidence, for which itself is the object of concentration. All humans possesses the capacity for concentration. So, as I was mentioning earlier, that the enforcement of enforcement and influence of system is necessary for the reflection of hope. The influence of societal conduct is necessary for the reflection of thought. The influence of study and sanskar is necessary for the reflection of desire. The inward regulation or concentration is necessary for the reflection of resoluteness. So this is the explanation which I understood as per my understanding, where I also realized concentration. I saw that uh, I realized that concentration is very important for where buddhi for buddhi to get reflected or to get enlightened in Atma. So here, resolve or sankalp is in the form of dhyan, concentration, or nishtha, which is dedication, before enlightenment of buddhi in Atma, or before Atmabodh. Concentration at this state is deployed for buddhi to get enlightened in Atma. So once buddhi gets enlightened in Atma, then this concentration is deployed to evidence it, which remains with continuity. So this is again mentioned here. The concentration involves focusing man, vritti, chitta, and buddhi for understanding. And later, once the understanding has already been happened, it is focusing them for the purpose of evidence after the understanding and realization. Yeah, so concentration is necessary for comprehending the meaning and subsequently providing evidence, which itself is the object of concentration. And Babaji is also mentioning here all human possesses the capacity for concentration. Yeah. So in the
Just
next
wanted to say that it is going on very nicely, Rahul Bhaiya. So just wanted to say bucket to buck you
I'm
up.
so sorry. I was so into the flow. I didn't realize that I forgot to ask if it is going through. The speed is okay, or do you want me to explain more each anubhuti, or is that okay?
I think it is going on just fine. We'll stop you in case there is anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, Vidya.
Ji. So next anubhuti is where Babaji is mentioning becoming established in just behavior, dharma-based thoughts, and truth realization-based desire itself is complete awakening. This is quite self-explanatory. Absence of mistakes and crimes in behavior is a characteristic of complete awakening. This is also observed in human interactions. Living with justice, dharma, and truth itself is complete awakening. So, when we say the absence of mistakes and crimes, uh, we have discussed it about previously. We when where we mentioned that the about uh, rightful owned wealth, marital faithfulness, and work and behavior with kindness. And when we are saying here the characteristics of complete awakening, I think this is the minimum eligibility criteria for awareness, which is pratiti or sakshatkar. I think if any human wants to attain this state of awareness, he or she, that person has to abide these laws, which is marital faithfulness and uh, work and behavior with kindness and rightfully owned wealth. Human possesses the explanation of this anubhuti goes here. Humans possesses the opportunity to understand, study, and experiment with spiritual, deific. Spiritual is omnipresence, deific is intellectual, and metaphysical, uh, insentient nature aspects. Every man and woman has the inherent right for realization and experimentation in coexistence. So here, I think Babaji is mentioning about understanding the three realities of existence, which is omnipresence, which is Vyapak, sentient nature, or Chaitanya Paksh, and insentient nature, which is Jad Paksh. So yeah, and every man and woman has inherent right for realization and experimentation in coexistence. That means the understanding is free from sect, religion, and gender. So any human, no matter what, can experiment it, can realize it, can understand it. In the next explanation of the same anubhuti, at the root of mystery lies ego or delusion only. Where is mystery? Mystery lies in buddhi, which is alienated from Atma. And which is Brahmit buddhi also, or buddhi with delusion or with ahankar. It is not deluded with degenerative or visham because there is only generative and mediative activity in buddhi. So, it is deluded with considering itself as seer. So I think that that's the mystery, and when we see this, that man has asakti or avesh, or which is attachment and agitation. When man thinks that it is the doer and the seer, and when vritti thinks that way, it is hurt or stubbornness. When chit thinks that way, it is abhiman or conceit, and when buddhi thinks that way, it is ahankar or ego. In the absence of enlightenment of truth, or in the absence of enlightenment of truth, the visualization activity in chit imperatively has the flaws of excess, deficiency, and omission. As a result, there will be imaginary imposition in visualization. This imaginary imposition in visualization is referred to as conceit or delusion. Because when the buddhi is alienated, or buddhi is not enlightened with truth. See, the however the uh, chitran, or the visualization activity of chitta is reflected, then there is a possibility of imposition happening in the visualization, because visualization has a very greater expanse. So there is a possibility of over evaluation, under evaluation, or otherwise evaluation. So this statement holds true even when the visualization activity in chitta is reflected by alienated buddhi. Uh, and what statement hold true? In the absence of enlightenment of truth, the visualization activity in the chitta imperatively has flaws. So there are flaws even if the chitta is reflected by alienated buddhi, that is without enlightenment in Atma. This is what it means by ego in buddhi and conceit in chitta. Yeah. So in the next paragraph, it is mentioned vritti is more eminent activity than man. Chit is more eminent activity than vritti. Buddhi is more eminent activity than chitta. Therefore, the mutual regulation is based on this respective differentiation in authority. This is quite self-explanatory, that which is the more eminent activity, which is the more developed activity. So it is clearly mentioned here that vritti is more developed than man, chitta is more developed than vritti, buddhi is more developed than chitta, and Atma is more developed than Buddhi. In the next Anubhuti, it is mentioned, it is only when the seeker attains the authority on perspective, intrinsic nature, and propensity of humaneness that they engage in the remaining endeavors for deific humaneness and divine humaneness. So, here, it is only when the seeker attains the authority or perspective of justice, dharma, and truth, nyaya, dharma, and satya. Intrinsic nature, which is dhirta, virta, udarta, fortitude, courage, and generosity. And propensity, which is vishay, or which is eshna traya, which is putteshna, vitteshna, and lokeshna, wealth desire, progeny desire, or reputation desire. And with this perspective, intrinsic nature and propensity, humaneness, that they engage in remaining endeavors for deific humaneness and divine humaneness. So enlightenment of Atma itself is the spiritual attainment. So spiritual, as we discussed in the previous uh, 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 Anubhuti as well, where it was mentioned that human possesses the opportunity to understand, study, and experiment with spiritual, which is omnipresence. So here also, with spiritual attainment, I believe that Babaji is mentioning of enlightenment of Atma in Vyapak or omnipresence. The explanation here is that enlightenment of Atma happens solely through the inward regulation process, which is the highest attainment of concentration. Uh, this itself is awakening. Individuals who have achieved enlightenment of Atma or enlightenment of realization are referred to as awakened humans, and uh, these only are evident in the form of humane human, deific human, and divine human. Again, I think this is quite self-explanatory. I think when we see here that I think sometimes in the initial years I used to struggle in the finding the difference in humane human, deific human, and divine human. I think there's a clear distinction here of activity completeness and conduct completeness among the humane human, deific human, and divine human. And also the vishay or the propensity, uh, where I think divine human or deific human stays with benevolence, and humane human are with puteshna, viteshna, or lokeshna, well desire, progeny desire, and reputation desire. Just in case if I miss something, or because of my current understanding, if there is any mistake, please point it out.
Sure, Bhaiya. I think this is going on just fine. I mean, my understanding is also the same. I think once you are done with the thing, you'll open the floor for some discussion.
जी भैया. Next, Anubhuti. Upon conceptual understanding, which is avdharna, along with the reflection of buddhi towards Atma, enlightenment of Atma and Brahm realization in coexistence, come in effect simultaneously. Just a second, please. This becoming effective itself is attainment. Such an attainment keeps the buddhi inundated. So here, uh, upon conceptual understanding, so conceptual understanding is a dharna. So it says that the dedication, determination, and the continuity in the process of bhas, abhas, and prakriti, which is perception, comprehension, and awareness, uh, is conceptual understanding. And this itself is enlightenment through study or adhyan bodh. And it is the topmost point or the topmost state of awareness, in the topmost state of awareness in conceptual understanding. Topmost state of awareness is conceptual understanding. And Purna Anuman, or which we call it mature inference, is also conceptual understanding. So this is conceptual understanding, and when this conceptual understanding happens, so the reflection of buddhi towards Atma and the enlightenment of Atma and Brahm realization comes to effect simultaneously. Both these things happen simultaneously. Just a second, please. Yeah. So, in the next Anubhuti, such Brahma realized individuals with evidence in conduct are referred to as humane human, deific human, divine human, who are continuous source of inspiration. This is quite self-explanatory. Next Anubhuti. Humans aspire to attain awakening by the way of study through self-inspiration, as well as through the inspiration, grace, and compassion of other humane humans, deific human, divine human, and deific Jeevan, divine Jeevans, so that they too may achieve humaneness, deificness, and divineness. I think somebody has left their mic unmuted, and because of that, I could hear my voice.
Okay.
Yeah,
Let
yeah, it is okay now. I think still it's there. Now it's better. Yeah. So when we talk about self-inspiration, I particularly want to draw your attention particularly on this word self-inspiration. So self-inspiration is something which is lacking as the inspiration, grace, and compassion of humans, deific human, etc., is always present. So I think humans who aspire to attain awakening by the way of study, uh, self-inspiration is the key. And also here, I think deific Jivan and divine Jivans have been introduced as word. I think Babaji is mentioning here about is those Jivans without body, awakened Jivans without body. So awakened humans are natural guides for awakened humans and provide them guidance. Sorry, awakened humans are natural guides for unawakened humans and provide them guidance. The explanation of sociality is based on corresponding sensitivity in thinking. Refinement in thinking is necessary because the protection of society is achieved through the fulfillment of relationships and associations. Sociality is sustainable only through refined thinking and conscious, uh, conscientious behavior. Such refined thinking and behavior are possible only upon attaining humaneness and higher humaneness. This itself is awakening. So, I think again here, when we talk about sociality, it means participation in the orderliness or the participation in the family orderliness or the overall orderliness. So the expectation of sociality is based on the corresponding sensitivity of in thinking, and refinement in thinking is behavior with kindness or live and let live, letting live actually. Yeah. And then again, it is through fulfillment of relationship in association. It again drives down to behavior with kindness or letting live. Sociality is sustainable only through refined thinking, which is mentioned above, and conscientious behavior. Such refined thinking and behavior are possible upon humaneness and higher humaneness by evidencing of making the content available according to the receptivity. So this humaneness and higher humaneness, uh, they make it evident by making the content available according to the receptivity of the person who's looking for, or for the unawakened human who's looking for being awakened. Yeah. So now the explanation of this here again is there in the next paragraph. The sentient aspect has the natural authority and control over insentient aspect. Uh, the awakening of the sentient aspect, Jivan, becomes evident when when its potential ability and receptivity are fully developed, allowing for the realization of this regulation knowledge in the form of coexistence. Without such realization, they have only acceptance of decline. So when we talk about the this statement, the sentient aspect has the natural authority and control over the insentient aspect. This statement is even true in the current context. However, we could observe the disorder and the chaos because the realization of regulation in the form of coexistence is missing. So here, the realization of this regulation in the form of coexistence is the key. Without such realization, they have only acceptance of decline. Yeah. So in the next paragraph, for the realization of regulation, which is mentioned in the above paragraph, knowledge knowledge or omnipresence, the restraint of thoughts is necessary. For the restraint of thoughts, reflection of chitta is necessary. For such reflection, perseverance and dedication are necessary. And for perseverance and dedication, delusionless knowledge of the insentient, sentient, and omnipresence is necessary. So here, when we talk about restraint of thoughts is necessary, it is just behavior and dharma-based thoughts. And when we talk about reflection of chitta is necessary, then it means awareness or desired without desires without attachment, awareness that is sakshatkar. And when we talk about perseverance and dedication is necessary, it is in buddhi in the form of resolve or sankalp. And when we talk about delusionless knowledge of insentient, sentient, and omnipresence is necessary, it is the enlightenment of Atma in Buddhi, enlightenment in Atma. Yeah. So the basic guidelines regarding the insentient, sentient, and the omnipresent, omnipotence are summarized below. These all are quite self-explanatory. I would not go into the detail about all these 5 points. However, I will go through it, read it once. The insentient is mortal, sentient is immortal, and omnipresence is eternal. So this has come numerous times in the same book previously and has been have been discussed in detail. Uh, any object or body constituted of many atoms is referred to as gross. Atoms are referred to as subtle. Atma is referred to as causal. Omnipresence is referred to as supreme cause. Absolute energy is always inherent to all because it is everywhere omnipresent due to the eternity of coexistence. The units of material order are active because of being in it, because the absolutely energy is always inherent and is everywhere. The units of material order are active because of being in it. So they are Babaji here is actually differentiating here in different orders what is being added in addition to what is there in the lower order. So here material order are active because of being in it. Biological order have pulsation because of being in it. The units of animal order have hope of living because of being in it. And the units of knowledge order are hopeful and conscientious because of being in it. A higher order unit includes the attribute of lower order units, as I mentioned above. The revelation of knowledge occurs only by sentient aspect or thoughts, which is Jeevan or the Chaitanya Paksh. The sentient aspect moves towards awakening or decline based on sanskar. So here, sanskar are the uh, current sanskar or the sanskar which somebody attains previously. So there are two of types of sanskar which have been discussed earlier: kusanskar and susanskar. So kusanskar which move towards kusanskar which move towards decline, and susanskar which move towards awakening, which makes move towards awakening. Humans have sensitivity towards suffering, misery, pain, and troubles of others because of their capability of uh, or possibility of realization in knowledge. So we discussed about it in sociality earlier. The capability of realization, uh, again, it is connected to the previous anubhuti. Um, The capability of realization in knowledge depends on human awakening. Human awakening depends on sanskar. Development of sanskar depends on environment study and endeavor. Environment study and endeavor depends on humaneness and higher humaneness. Humaneness and higher humaneness depends on the capability of realization of knowledge. So here, I think uh, 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 the capability of or possibility of realization in the previous anubhuti is described here, where the capability of realization in knowledge depends on human awakening. And here, the human awakening is dependent on the sanskars. Uh, and the development of sanskar is dependent on the environment study and endeavor. So when we talk about sanskar is are their behavior without crime, or when we talk about this, human awakening is dependent on behavior without crime, thoughts without injustice, and desires without attachment. And I think then the environment study and endeavor depends on humaneness and higher humaneness. Humaneness and higher humaneness depends on the capability of realization of knowledge. The self is Atma, mediative activity. The realization activity of Atma is more eminent than the activities of Man, Vritti, Chitta, and Buddhi. Therefore, until buddhi, chitta, vritti, and man become completely affected by Atma, there is no realization of bliss or anand in buddhi, or uh, uh, contentment, or what you call contentment, santosh in chitta, peace in vritti, or as shanti in vritti, and happiness in man, which is sukh in man. The one who is not happy cannot make others happy. The one who is not happy must be unhappy. And one can distribute only what one has. So I think it is quite a amazing statement where he's saying uh, that the one who is not happy has to be unhappy. There is no other way of being half happy or otherwise. Yeah. So, coming to the last few anubhutis, buddhi has the potential for enlightenment of Atma and the enlightenment of the realization in omnipresence. Therefore, after its realization, the comprehensive resolution and understanding becomes accessible. So, buddhi has the potential for enlightenment of Atma and enlightenment of realization in omnipresence in Vyapak. So once the buddhi is starts receiving the signals from Atma, uh, it becomes enlightenment in Atma. It has the potential of being enlightened in Atma. So therefore, after realization, the comprehensive resolution or sarvatomukhi samadhan, and understanding becomes accessible. A developed unit moves towards decline by thinking and behaving like an undeveloped unit. For instance, humans who are more developed than animals move towards decline when they try to adopt the behavior, lifestyle, and eating habits of animals. So I think this was again discussed previously, where until awakening, visualization in chit is with flaws of over evaluation, under evaluation, and otherwise evaluation. Because of this thinking and because of you know this thinking, uh, uh, they tend to move towards decline, as they tend to behave like the undeveloped unit. Yeah. The next anubhuti is the inclination of higher value towards lower value is solely due to attachment. So yeah, and also we discussed that man has its uh, uh, dabav or its pressure on chitta, where man also gets agitated and chit also gets attached. Uh, so the visualization uh, in the chit is where the attachment is happening, where man is pressurizing chit for attachment. So yeah, asakti is or the inclination towards the uh, uh, lower value is solely due to attachment, which is under evaluation, and the presence of delusion is imperative for esposal and deployment of higher value towards lower value. So so the presence of uh, delusion is imperative. It is uh, without the presence of delusion in buddhi, it is not possible, uh, or otherwise, or without buddhi not supporting, or without chitta not getting reflected, or vritti not getting reflected by chitta. This is possible in a state of delusion, that higher value towards the lower value, the deployment of higher value towards the lower value. B- Belief, different from reality itself, is delusion. This is again quite self-explanatory, where uh, I think when we conventionally also check the definition of belief, uh, I think it means that something which is believed to be true, however, it is not proven to be true. So it could be true, it could not be true. So it is a belief, and anything which has mystery in it could be a delusion. So belief different from reality, or uh, uh, the whatever the reality is, anything away from reality, as mentioned above, like uh, with over evaluation, under evaluation, or otherwise evaluation, it is delusion. So I think I'm done with today's reading session. So anyone has any question to ask, please feel free to ask, to or to point anything which I missed, or uh, I misinterpreted during my reading session.
Very nice, Rahul Bhaiya. Totally enjoyed it. Think you had done a lot of hard work, and the way that you actually read it, it was very seamless and making references to the past as well. I think Babaji has done a phenomenal job in making the consciousness understandable, right? So what we are basically seeing is that at a very broad level, we are saying that there is we humans have a immortal aspect to ourselves, right? We are not mortal alone. There is an immortal aspect to us. And this immortal aspect actually has inexhaustible powers and strengths. Then after that, it says that there is a incorruptible core in this immortal or the self that it has, which basically this function of this Jeevan or the sentient entity that basically defines our being uh, is not just about the mechanics of living. It's not just about controlling the body or enjoying the senses of it, but there is an aspect of it which is quite core of it, which is called conscience, right? So each one of us has a conscience which is mapped to buddhi and atma. So here, then after that, he basically uh, demarcates two states, delusion and awakening, right? So awakening is that when this conscience becomes awakened, then and delusion is before that, right? When this consciousness is actually attached to the body. So so this chapter 17 actually um, is basically focuses on Jivan Gyan, and the sections that you had read were quite the crux uh, of the chapter. So I'll now open the floor for any question and answers that you may have, or any discussion that you would like to have. Rishta, you want to say something?
Hello. I completely agree with you. When I was listening to you, Bhaiya, Rahul Bhaiya, I was thinking how seamlessly you have presented it. You've like, it's not a very straightforward sections, and yet the way you were presenting it, it was just flowing very systematically. You could sense the clarity with which you are visualizing it and also expressing it. So I was initially like in the first few parts, I was just marveling at that. And also, actually, one more thing was the translation of those sections, no, right after Uprokta Anusar and those anubhutis about exactly how what is happening in Man, Vritti, Chit, and Buddhi. I was just marveling at how nicely it's been translated. Like it really, the English was capturing the feel so well. It made it actually easier to understand than in Hindi. So, yeah, these are some things that I was really uh, appreciating.
That's
And
quite music to the ears. Mhm.
Yeah. Thank you, Rakesh, Sanjeev Bhaiya, and Surendra Patil.
Oh, you are part of the gang. Yeah, you need to take the blame as well. And the
yeah. Baki, the chapter is I'm still processing it, and as I was discussing in the morning also with Rakesh Mama, it's I'm still churning it. So I don't, as such, I can't say I have questions to share or put forth right now. I think I still need to do some processing on my own.
yeah. So it's very nice. I mean, it was wonderful talking to you today. I think basically one thing that is Babaji is talking about in this chapter is about consciousness development. And consciousness development, he's saying, is that one needs to actually develop certain capability to attain a higher state. The higher state doesn't come on its own. You need to have to do the groundwork for that, and the groundwork is possible within the already active faculties, right?
Hmm.
So, so once you do the groundwork of for um, uh, the further awakening, then the next uh, the more subtle faculties of self, they take over, and it becomes easier. And so that is how it is. So he says that the process of his was exactly the same. Like he also performed the study, he also undergone the process of consciousness development, right? And there would be some difference, of course, because he had to undergo samadhi, but which we are not undergoing. But what we are having in in that place is the guidance from him. That anubhav ki roshni that we have is something which is actually uh, in a way a replacement for samadhi. That is, in coexistence we actually are able to get the capability of clean slate that he had to achieve in order to actually uh, do sanyam. So now
Hmm.
he's saying that the possibility of doing sanyam is there with Anubhav ki Roshni itself. It's not, you don't need to actually clean the slate. Instead, you can uh, orient your thoughts, desire, and actions in the light of realization. And this can be, this consciousness development can be done through the process of education, right? So that is the basic idea. And then he says that, okay, if there is a consciousness development in a human being, then their conduct becomes definite, and that definite conduct becomes a basis for a just society. And he goes on to actually take it to define, basically, if a just society is there, if they live with, how would their systems be like. And then he uh, goes on to basically describe the constitution of such a awakened society. So so that is actually all is an extension of this core idea of delusion and awakening. That whole idea of that, yes, there is a possibility that each one of us possesses of awakening. And this awakening is possible when we actually perform the study of realities. And the realities are not hidden, there is no mystery in there. So if we actually perform the study, and study goes along with the practice, then there is a possibility of human awakening. And so, I mean, it's a very powerful chapter if you were to look at it. Yeah.
Undoubtedly. Undoubtedly. And very condensed also. It took
Yeah.
me a lot of time to prepare for it because you have to recollect everything you know about darshan in these just 10 pages.
Yes, completely agree. I think you can say that the first 15 chapters of Manav Vyavhar Darshan are more definitional in nature.
Mm.
In chapter number 16, he describes how the Dharmniti, Rajaniti, and how the relationships and things are going to be. And 17 is about Jeevan Gyan. It basically is talks about, okay, putting the things as it is.
Mhm.
So in that sense, 16, 17, 18, these are the three chapters where you can say is the summary of the book. Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree with you. Yeah.
Sanjana, how are you? Anything you would like to say? You're mute. Sanjeevia? I think everybody wants to say silent. So the next one is going. Yeah,
Oh,
Spencer, you want to say something?
no, I can just say hi and great job. Nice listening, Rahul. Bye. And yeah, no, it was very nice. And I was just wondering, how was the experience for you preparing for this and presenting?
Yeah. Spencer, I think that while preparing for this, I was actually reflecting into inwards that how much I have understood about darshan. So somehow I also came to know about the gaps which I had in my understanding. So I also am quite happy that I chose to present this part of the book because it helped me, understanding what I don't know, what I know about darshan.
Hmm.
It was again a very enjoyable process of reading it again and again and trying to recollect and connect the different books and different aspects of darshan at one place. Yeah, it was quite thought-provoking, intriguing, and it was really nice.
Very nice.
So the next one is going to be done by Drishta, the remaining part of this, because Rahul Bhaiya has been traveling a great deal of late. So he will be so Drishta will be taking over. Just wanted to also thank Drishta for standing in for me for the last two sessions as well. And everybody seems to be happier without me, which is a
No,
good
no,
thing.
not at all. I was the happiest that you're back home today.
Yeah, it
Thank
was
you, Drishta,
interesting.
for filling up for me as well. And I'm so sorry, everyone, that I won't be able to present. You know, the next session. I have a marriage to attend within the family, and Drishta is filling up for me. Thank you, Drishta.
नहीं भैया, thanks. Because of this, I got the opportunity to actually really pay attention. And when you have to present the chapter, you read it differently. So thanks to
Yeah.
you, your situation. I feel bad because you must have already prepared for this entire section, and now we won't get to hear that. But in thanks to all of that, I am actually paying more attention to this chapter. So it's a good opportunity.
Hmm. Sanjeev Bhaiya, you would like to say something?
Not much, Priya. I had to, so 8 to 9:30 is dinner time also. So I was missing for 15, 20 minutes in between. And overall, I continuously heard the first 45 minutes. And it was beautifully covered and explained by Rahul Bhaiya. And I think you rightly mentioned, Rahul Bhaiya, that the more responsibility we take to express ourselves, and Drishta, I think maybe Drishta mentioned it, the more it helps us in our own understanding also. So this is a good observation. Great. And the sessions are going on beautifully. And as Rakesh Bhaiya mentioned, it is the 44th session. So good reading all that which we translated in the last 1.5 years or so. And every time we read it, it gives a little more clarity actually.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Rakesh,
So
you should also give an award to the active participants, who attended the most number of sessions. That goes to go to Drashta or Spencer, and
yeah.
I don't know who else attended the most number of sessions. I'm the only one attending passively, rather.
It's no, I think that I mean I'm not really worried about that how many people actually end up watching it. I mean I remember when I started writing this blog with Babaji's uh, Samvad. So he actually used to ask me, has anybody responded to you? Has anybody come back to you? I said two people have come back to me. So he was so happy listening to, oh wonderful. He was uh, so he's saying so basically what I feel is that uh, we are actually trying to break new ground here. And what we have in the is maybe a very initial version of what it is going to become. So with that trust, we are moving. Yeah. So hopefully it will all move in the right direction. Yeah.
Right. That you're mentioning your blog, I think way that you put it out there back then, but even if people weren't engaging live when you were putting them out, I think afterwards it has helped so many people, and
Yeah.
so many of us have engaged. I mean, not maybe with the blog, but the sharings from the blog that are shared regularly, they are so useful. Uh, I think
Yeah.
it doesn't need to be live, the attendance or participation.
Yeah, yeah. I'm quite happy to hear all this. It's all music. Hmm. So, Sanjana, are you able to hear us? I think you're mute.
Yeah, I don't think so. She was also with me during the dinner time, and
अच्छा
I don't
अच्छा
know.
तो
She
वो
just
दिल्ली
went
में ही आई
upstairs.
हुई हैं अच्छा
Yes.
okay so just wishing her the best for everything yeah
जी.
Anisha didi namaste.
Namaste, everybody. I am not speaking much because one, I joined very late. It just slipped my mind, and Shiladi sent me a message asking me, and I don't see WhatsApp messages very often, so I switched it on, and suddenly I saw like, oh, I totally forgot. So I just joined in the last, I think, last four Anubhutis. So but yeah, I mean, it was very, like Bhaiya said, flow tha. I could sense that ki it was a very good flow. I'll go back and listen to the recording. But I think two things that I want to say is this, that Bhaiya, I think this whole translation group, jo aapka hai, the gang, like you're calling it, I think you all have done a very good job. Many times, like I was recently sharing with Drishta also, because we keep discussing things that some of the things, like I've been reading it in Hindi like for such a long time, and I take such a long time to comprehend कि क्या बोल रहे हैं बाबा. But the minute I read it in English, it's like, oh, this is like so simple. It's like so straightforward, and yet I'm not getting it because I guess Hindi, one is not so fluent in Hindi in that sense. So I think it's a very good job that you all have done, and the flow of the book is very good. So it's not like the earlier translation. I have also read the earlier Manav Darshan translation. I think compared to that, this one is like very far more easy to read. It's not a word-to-word translation, so it's far more easy to read and comprehend. So yeah, thank you for that. And like Rahul Bhaiya said, and I think everybody must have said, this whole thing of getting the opportunity to share the chapter with everybody, I think that has been a good journey for all of us, because one, that it makes you look inwards, definitely. And two, it also helps you see your gaps in understanding the darshan. Plus, also, it helps you understand things, comprehend things much better when you have to present something, right? So yeah, it's been good, and it's nice to also join off and on and be part of this discussion and hear everybody. And last session, I don't know if Bhaiya you saw the recording. We kind of hijacked the last 20 minutes, and it was this girly chatter for a bit.
Okay. Yeah, I've not listened to that part yet. I was.
Hey, that wasn't chat.
Yeah, it wasn't chatter. Actually, I just said it very lightly. It was, we were discussing a important point, no doubt. I just said it in a light way that it was girly chatter, but it just, in the end, it was just six girls left. So, it was just thoda sa light-hearted baat, darshan se related only. Yeah. Yeah.
Wonderful. Wonderful. ठीक है जी. So we will actually close today's session and we will meet again on Tuesday with Drishta actually leading us further. Thank you so much, Rahul Bhaiya.
Thank you, Bhaiya. Yeah.
Thank you,
Good night.
everyone. Good night. Good night.
Good night.